Alright guys, so it has been a minute since I've talked to you guys. I've just been posting montage videos for a while. Hope you guys like those. But, I've been posting a lot recently, and that's just because school's ended, school summer started, got a job, and I've just been working, and, I haven't really been posting on YouTube, just took a break, I don't know. I only post when I want to and I feel like it. I don't want to make YouTube a job for me. I don't want to feel obligated to post. So I post when I want to post. Anyway, guys, I know it's a small audience, and by me just posting every once in a while when I feel like it, it might stay a small audience, but at least I have one. So today is just going to be working on some RCs, just bringing it back. We're at the hobby shop right now. Well, our hobby shop. Since there's not really any hobby shops in Long Island, me and my dad have been buying a bunch of parts and storing them here for our cars. Since the losi LST, the AFNA, the T-Max, all those cars are starting to get a little hard to get parts for, especially the AFNA. So whenever we can scoop them up, we do. Anyways, got the LST right here on the bench, and it needs a couple things. The last time I took it out. Last two times I took it out, I had an issue. The throttle servo started to bug out. No matter how much I put the trim back, it was still in an 8th throttle. So what I did for that time was I recentered the servo horn because I thought something got messed up with that. Obviously that's not the case because it did it again this time when I went to go take it out on 4th of July weekend. Still driving it though, it was just, it was a little sketchy. And the servo was also twitching. So I purchased a 4-pack of servos like we did last time. We have 2 of those servos in my dad's LST, 1 in my HPI and 1 in the crawler. But I bought another 4-pack because we are having a new RC channel very, very soon. It's in the mail from Horizon Hobby right now. Should be getting here in a couple days. But it'll be coming to this channel very, very soon, like I said. And it's not what you guys think. It's not a nitro, but it's a really cool electric. It's a vintage. If you've been on my Instagram, I already posted about it, but it's coming in real soon. It's going to be kit, but I bought some servos for it, and I need a receiver for it, so yeah. So another problem I've been having with the LST is after a while, after like 5 minutes of running, I timed it. It starts to lean bog, like it doesn't have enough fuel pressure or something, and I would give it like full throttle and just kind of fall on its face. Now what I've noticed both of those times was that there's a lot of fuel on the top of the tank, and the first time it happened I was like, oh, no wonder the cap wasn't all the way in, but the cap is fine. The second time it happened, and there's still a lot of fuel on top, and where the motor does have fuel on it, it is coming out of the front bearing a little bit, but this shouldn't be affecting anything because this thing runs perfectly fine. My issue is, why is there a lot of fuel on the top of the fuel tank? I didn't spill any in there, and so it leads to be that there might be a crack in the fuel line or a crack in the tank. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to be replacing the servo, and I'm going to be taking out this tank, checking all the fuel line, make sure that's not heated. Because what's happening is when the motor's heated up, it's having problems. So that could lead to 2 things. One, like the fuel line or the fuel tank's expanding when the fuel is boiling in there, it gets hot. Or 2 is that when this motor gets hot, it needs more fuel to burn. It burns more fuel, and maybe the fuel pressure is fine when the motor is not hot, but when it gets hot after like 4 minutes of running, it's giving me issues. But this thing still has plenty of power. It was literally doing wheelies on wet, like tarmac, and it was hitting the wing. So yeah, that's just basically this video. My HPI, if you didn't know this, the RS4, last time I took it out, having some problems with some lean bogging also, and there's a lot of fuel around the motor, so I'm thinking either the carburetor is not sealing right, or the back plate. I'm gonna have to take that motor apart and inspect it. That motor is so nice. It's just when I first got it, it was good, but after running it, it's an old motor. It's 10+ years old. Things are gonna go bad. So I might have to buy some new seals for it. Not a big deal. Well, not I'll get a one-way bearing and make that motor great again. But yeah, so let's just start off with the LST. Alright guys, so here it is. Sorry about the lighting. Got my controller right there. So, yeah, you guys can see the line is a little long for the exhaust. That's because the other line got pulled for something else. And I had this lying around, I didn't want to cut it. But that's not the issue. It's still like, it's not like crazy long. And it seals good. So, as you guys can see, you can see the fuel on top of it. That's not right. So, maybe even like this right here was sealed up a while ago. I did not do this. The previous owner did. But that could be an issue. You know, there's little things here and there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to swap the tank for my dad's LST, because I know that tank seals right. Last time we drove it, it was completely fine. So I'm going to swap tanks, and so I can just inspect this one. I know that one's good. We could take this thing out for a run and completely eliminate that situation. But yeah, guys, let's just pull that off, and then we'll pull this throttle servo. Okay, guys, so the tank is off. Super nice about the LST is these posts. This whole tank runs on rubber grommets, so it is nice and held in. It is SAE hardware, so be careful with that. The LST is really weird. The whole chassis of the LST is SAE, but all the drivetrain is metric. So just keep in mind when you're taking this thing apart, you don't want to strip out any of these screws. But yeah, the motor is looking decently clean. There is fuel there, but it isn't that terrible. There's not like a puddle of fuel anywhere. That could also be because underneath here is a complete open hole for the backplate, so all the fuel just kind of shoots out when it needs to. Yeah. So the plan is to check out this fuel tank and see what's going on. There could be a crack in it, like could be one right there. So we'll go check it out, see what's going on, check out the fuel line, because the fuel line does go over the tank, so if it's cracked, then there could be an issue. So yeah, I'm gonna go check this out, and then I'll come back to you guys. So, after further inspection, seems to be that the fuel line and the tank is both airtight. Where the fuel is also coming out is right by the carburetor, where it meets the intake of the motor. And so it could be leaking too. I'm not sure. It's very odd though to see that the tank has all this fuel at the top, but it is completely sealed and there's no issues whatsoever. And I never had issues with this before. Very odd. Unless if it's shooting out of the intake into here, like, it doesn't make any sense at all. And I don't know. But that's definitely not our issue. There's plenty of fuel pressure. This could also be here from last time, because it does feel like oil. But I don't know. It could be more. I'm not sure. But all I know is that there's something wrong with the engine. And I think we need to pull the intake off, the carburetor off, and see what's going on. But yeah, I'll go do that in a little bit, definitely. Guys, I think I figured it out. Alright, so I've done some sketchy things to the high-speed needle on this carburetor a while back, just to get me by for a quick fix, and it worked really well. So the high-speed needle was leaking, there was fuel coming out of it, and what I ended up doing is, since I didn't have any O-rings at the time, I took the high-speed needle out and wrapped it in Teflon tape, put it back in, got the tune right, and then we put a piece of gum over the top of it to keep it completely sealed. And it worked for a really long time. But now, it makes total sense why this thing, after like 5 minutes of running, is starting to lean bog, but it's completely fine before that, even though it's warmed up. I think what is happening, my theory is that this high-speed needle, there's gum on top of it, and once the motor gets hot enough and the gum starts to boil and melt, then air's starting to get in. But when the motor is cool and when it's like first heated up, you know, it takes a while for the gum to melt, and it's completely fine. So that's where our air leak's coming from. So I'm gonna completely clean this mess and you know, we're gonna put it all back together. But I mean, hey, my ghetto fix did work, and there's two options I can go by this. This tune is perfect, and I don't want to try to retune this motor again because I got it running just really nicely. And if I take the whole needle out, there's a chance that like there's some stuff get in there, and like you know, I might not have the right O-rings. We don't know. Came in a kit, and they look like they're the right ones, but they could be for shocks or something. So we could put a new O-ring in, or what we can do for a good / temporary fix, and I'd recommend you don't do this, but for my situation, this might work the best, is put a drop of silicone. We have automotive silicone right here, used to make gaskets and stuff like that. And I just put a drop over the top and forget about it, and it does peel off over, like it's heat resistant, but I could peel it off with like a flathead screwdriver very easily. It's not going to ruin anything, and you know, it might not fix it perfectly, but I don't have to take apart the motor or anything like that, and it could be a better fix, you know. Certain times like this where, you know, like you have a risk of messing things more up than they already are by taking things apart. Sometimes this is the better idea, and it's also easier. It's easier to just put a drop of silicone on there and hope for the best. I mean, I'm not in a loss if I do it this way. I could just take it off if it doesn't end up working, but I'm thinking I might just do that because taking apart the carburetor could just open up a can of worms, and it runs really, really good when it's not lean bogging, which is like 5 minutes after, like I said. So, I mean, hey, I think we're just about to do it. I just made up my mind in 3 minutes. Here we go. Okay, I got almost all the gum out. It's a little bit rusty in there just from moisture and everything being in there, and also nitro fuel on metal rust. So it's just on the surface rust, and it's just on the top of the head. It's not like messed up or anything. So that also is indicated that fuel has been coming out of here because it's been trapped in the gum and then you know, rusting up. So we're just gonna get a little squirt of this really quick. I might just get a dab really quick. Okay, so I got a dab on my finger. We're just gonna, you know, smear it on there. Make sure we cover everything. You know, you don't want to leave anything out, but I don't want to put too much and make a mess out of it. So we're gonna let that cure overnight, and hopefully that's a fix. Crossing our fingers here. And yeah. Alright guys, our fuel problem is hopefully fixed. Yes, I know my fuel line's a little long. It's because I don't want to cut it because it's still really good stuff, and you know, so I got my line running neatly right through here through the shock tower for that. Then I have my line. I was gonna use a green short line, and it worked fine with my other motor, but this motor gets a little hot, and I don't want to end up boiling the fuel in the line or melting the line. So I have this one running through here, through the shock tower, around, and then into there. And you know what? It does help because more fuel capacity, and also more. If this thing flips over, it still has fuel in the line, so I can go and get it. So it's not all jank. This is looking good. Hopefully this seals up well. Time to take this servo out and replace it because this one is busted. Alright guys, servo's out. Basically we just got to pull this wire out and yank it on it a little bit. It does go through this rubber grommet, so yeah, it just comes out through the bottom right through here, and it's actually quite nice. This I really like the design of this what's it called, I like the design of this radio box. It has plenty of space. Just getting the wires out, it's a little bit tough, but it's manageable. Here we go. Slides right out. Alright. And yeah, these are actually the factory servos on this truck from way back when, in 2005, when this truck came out. So they did serve me well, and they have plenty of power. These are the junior racing ones. This is before Spectrum partnered with the losi and all that. So before that, if you guys haven't noticed, and know this, used to be Junior Racing Electronics, and they are very good. I have their AM radios, and they're some of the best AM radios I've ever used in my life. Yeah, I can't get this dude to rubber grommet. Hold on, I'm gonna put you guys down for a second. All right, so here's the servo right here. The same exact servo all around, metal geared. There's 2 of them for the steering, and they are very strong. This thing can focus. I can show you guys what's on here. Yeah, but so there it is right there. Junior Racing 590M Torque Race Servo Metal. And here's what's going to be replacing it. It's $5 for this servo online, but you do have to buy it in 4 packs, which is not a big deal. I had 4 of these before, and they all work splendid, but I need more. And these work really well, and you can buy these on Amazon. There's perfect, same exact size. Actually, they are slightly larger, but they are very similar in size. And these are the TINKONRC something Digi High Torque MG996R, and this one should just hopefully slide right in. When I put these on my dad's LST, they're a little tough to get in because they are a little bit wider than the other ones, but they do fit in, so we'll go pop those in real quick. Alright, so we got the servo in. It was a little harder than usual just because putting servos in the LST is super tough. I've done it before. It's just like, it just has to fit perfectly, and then the wire getting in the way when you're putting it in. So long story short, this case on this servo is a little bit bigger than the servo that was originally in there, and I think that's just like, I don't know. It's a thicker case, so it might be stronger in the long run, but for the LST it doesn't really fit that well. So took it to the Dremel and I cleaned the edges off, and like the corners right here, I grounded those down, and it slid right in after I did that. So I got it all wired up. We got to plug in the battery, turn on the electronics, center out the servo, put this throttle linkage on, and this car should be good to go for testing and tuning. So yeah, guys. Alright, so we got the radio on. So the car's on. Let's see if we can get a visual on this. Yeah, working no problem. It's a little slow, but it'll be okay. It doesn't matter. It's just a basher after all. So we're going to center this servo out. Alright, so the servo is centered out. Pop this linkage back on. And also, before I run it, from grinding down, there's a little bit of metal shaving because I ground down just right here on the chassis so that the wire would slip through a little bit better next time I put in a new servo. So yeah, so there's a little bit of metal shavings here and there. So this is completely closed right here. That's about it. So we'll just find the grooves, and then push this jamma down. Right? I'm going to shut this thing down. Alright, so there's no strain on it. I'm going to get something heavy. I always like to give this a few taps. And then send her home with the screw. Machine thread, obviously, because it is metal geared. You guys always need to know that for metal gear servos, it's machine thread, and for plastic gears, it is not. It is self-tapping. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're replacing your servos. Okay, so that's their giving throttle. So it is backwards. So I'm gonna have to flip it. Throttle servo reverses. 2. Alright, now it's reversed, so I'm gonna have to set our endpoints really quick. So I'm gonna go do that really quick, and then we should be done. Alright, servo's all good to go. Got full throttle, full brake, and it's relatively fast. So yeah, guys, that's it. Hopefully this thing's fixed, and we will see next time I take this thing out. Peace.